Okay, welcome to this afternoon's special called meeting. We will have a moment of silent prayer followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would, stand with me. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good afternoon. Welcome to our January 10th special call meeting. The first order of business is the adoption of the agenda.
Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Any questions? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Next is the approval of the consent agenda items.
I don't think we have.
We just have one thing
There should only be one item on the agenda.
for the special call.
This special call meeting, not the regular meeting. So we probably need to go into the item for the special call meeting. Who's presenting that?
Chairman, board, it's good to see everyone. So one of the things, as we've kind of gone through the process with our ERA funding, we've gotten to a point where we've expended the funding associated with ERA 1. Chief Murkison would come forth and kind of set the stage for what we have before you today as far as approval of additional articles of agreement with our nonprofits. So I yield the floor to Chief Murkison as it pertains to the work that's in front of us.
Chief Marks.
Thank you, Mr. COO, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. So the two resolutions that are coming before you this evening is to re-engage in articles of agreement with two of our nonprofits that were assisting us in the allocation of the $6.5 million that we had received in ERA 1 funds, which had a sunset date of December 29th of 2022. So if you recall, this was an additional reallocation pot of money that came in for emergency rental assistance, and as such, we engaged with the services of M&A Law, which helped us in the oversight of three nonprofits, Melanated Pearl, Project Real Life, and CCCSA, Clayton County Community Services Authority. We were able successfully to get all $6.5 million out the door and allocated in rental assistance, plus a little bit extra. However, as that funding source has expired on December 29th, so have those articles of agreement. So what we're asking you to do is to re-engage with two of those nonprofits. The third one has chosen not to participate in ERA 2 funding, and our sole purpose in that will be now to focus our efforts on spending down the remaining ERA 2 funds, which has a sunset date of December of 2025, and that will be broken up between three entities, with $1 million going to Magistrate Court for their eviction diversion process, which the board funded a meeting or so ago, and then the other remaining 2.134 will be split evenly between Melanated Pearl and Project Real Life, and then that will conclude pending any other disbursements from the Treasury. That will conclude our ERA funding.
And there was, I think COO said there's two resolutions.
Yes, sir. There's two resolutions, one for each of the nonprofits. One that deals with Project Real Life, and one deals with Melanated Pearl, and Mr. O'Neill can read those out if need be.
Yes, please read that out for the record.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. First, we have Resolution 2223-24. This is a resolution authorizing Clayton County to enter into articles of agreement with Melanated Pearl Corporation for the distribution of American Rescue Plan Act emergency rental assistance funds, to authorize the chairman to execute the agreement and otherwise perform all acts necessary to accomplish the intent of the resolution, to authorize the chief financial officer to amend the budget where necessary to reflect an appropriate revenue source, and expense, all as may be required under the terms of the agreement, to provide an effective date and for other purposes. Continuing to the body, would you like me to read the whereas clauses or the section?
No, I think Chief Murkison outlined everything else that would be needed as far as informational, as well as if anybody had any questions. But at this time, I'll go ahead and ask for a motion to approve.
May I, a question before the motion, please?
Okay, question for the motion. Go ahead, Commissioner Hamburg.
Yes, and I walked out, I'm sorry. But, is there a difference with the MNA and the melanated pearl? Is one like supervising the other, or are they equal?
No, ma'am. So M&A Law was overseeing the three nonprofits and helping coordinate all of the funding. We will be bringing M&A's contract extension to the January 17th board meeting, simply because they were procured in a different manner and paid out of a different pot of funding. So there's one or two other nuances that we still have to work through with re-engaging their articles of agreement. So that will be brought to you at next week's board meeting to re-engage. So the process won't change. But what we've done right now is because all of our funding sunset on December 29th, as such, these articles of agreement expired, we had to close both call centers. So what this does is allow us to get two of our nonprofits back engaged, get our call centers reopened, and then we'll come back to you next board meeting with M&A's contract, so that way everything under that process continues to still function.
Okay. So,
And that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah, so this resolution is with, melanated pearl and,
There's two. One deals specifically with melanated pearl, and the second one is dealing with Project Real Life.
not the new real life.
No, we were already using those.
Yes, sir. So under M&A Law, there were three. Those two, and then the Community Services Authority, which did not want to participate in ERA 2, so we're down to two nonprofits.
Can somebody tell me about real life? Who that is and what they are and how long we've been working with them?
And while he's coming, let me just interject, that's the reason for the special called meeting, to make sure that we renew these contracts so we can get the call centers back online to get the money back into our citizens' hands sooner than later.
Yes. So, Commissioner, if you're asking specifically about the Project Real Life engagement in the community, they've carried a nonprofit arm that primarily dealt with displacement of individuals in the community for a number of years. Project Real Life and Melanated Pearls were two of the nonprofits that were only engaged when we had that deadline of the $6.5 million that we had to expend by December 29th. So we had not done any work with Melanated Pearls or Project Real Life or CCCS, for that matter, up to that point in time. The primary nonprofits or organizations that was providing services at that time was Hearts and Nourish Hope and ACF. And GMIN, those are three organizations, but they were under a different set of agreements. Their services were procured through Central Services, as the Articles of Agreement is what we bought for those three nonprofits, with having M&A serving as the facilitators for those three nonprofits.
I was trying to look behind you. Is Tina still back there?
Yes, she is.
Any other questions? Yes.
I have a question too. I want to
Is
ask
this
you,
a question that you want to ask prior to the vote, or?
yeah, prior
till we
to
get
this, yeah, prior to
okay.
the vote. I
Go
just
ahead,
want to
Commissioner
ask, when, you said you all are going to start dispersing funds. I know you said a date, but when did you actually say you all were going to start dispersing these funds, or having them to disperse the funds to the citizens?
So what we've been focused on for the last couple weeks, or since December 29th, is the cleanup and reconciliation from the ERA 1 funds.
Okay,
Because that report is due to Treasury next week.
okay,
So that's kind of where we focused our efforts to make sure we get that initial report done. Assuming these agreements are passed this evening, then we'll kick this process back up first thing in the morning
thank you.
and start drawing down on the remaining ERA 2 funds.
Thank you for saying that, so our citizens can hear that.
Well,
Thank
and the
you.
reason why we couldn't was because specifically when the board passed the Articles of Agreement for the three nonprofits, it dealt specifically with the $6.5 million, which was an ERA 1 fund allocation. So we couldn't just automatically transition them to a different pot of money because A, it would have exceeded the maximum
Amount.
admin fees that were in their previous agreement, plus we're dealing with a separate pot of funds. So that's why the the emergency was created to get this meeting done so we can get back to the business of putting money in the community.
Thank you.
Commissioners, other part to keep in mind, you didn't see that we brought forth for renewal or amendments or any changes to M&A's laws contract. That information will be forthcoming. That will be on the board agenda next Tuesday. Because again, the ERA funding could not be utilized to take care of administrative functions for M&A. So that will be part of the discussion next Tuesday.
Commissioner Davis, you have
Yes, actually, Commissioner Anderson asked one of the questions I was just about to ask, but the other part of that is, what was I going to ask now, Commissioner Anderson, since you took my questions? We have the date for that. Has the backlog that we had which forced us to shut down the call center in the first place, has that been rectified or resolved? And if not, at what level are we at now?
No, sir. So that has not been totally rectified. One of the things we recognize is that now that we're not under the gun to have that permanent deadline in space, it gives us an opportunity now to address those backlogs. The other part of that is that a lot of our agreements have been rectified through what we call a landlord agreement. So there's been X amount of clients that have been attached to landlord agreements. So you might have put an application in directly to our call center or through one of the nonprofits, but if the landlord agreement was actually executed through the magistrate court, then your area might have been rectified because you're part of the landlord agreement. Right. So we recognize part of the theory or part of the strategy was it was cleaner and easier for us to address a multitude of our clients at one time, because through the landlord agreement, it might incorporate 40 to 50 people, opposed to doing this one-off, trying to deal with individuals that's going through the call center one-on-one. And so the landlord agreements has given us opportunity to clean that up, and now we have a cleaner reconciliation process in place. So we should have a cleaner list as to how many clients we still have that's outstanding. Hopefully, we're hoping within the next week and a half.
Great. And the last thing is, and it's not a question, just kind of a request, we can get some type of bi-weekly summary report of where we are in the process as we begin to engage this moving forward. I know it's a new process. You all are working as hard as you can. I appreciate all you're doing, but so that we kind of can gauge where we are.
Yes, sir.
All right, now is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Any other questions? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Chairman, I stand corrected. There is one additional item that was not necessarily associated with dealing with our ERA, our nonprofits. So there is an Articles of Agreement, and we actually did what we consider an amendment to educational system, where we added funding into the community to help us with our vaccination and our testing process. We had some amendments to make to that actual Articles of Agreement. That also is part of this special call meeting. And in essence, we put that dollar amount that we had allocated for the testing, which was right at $750,000. So you should also have in your packet that Articles of Agreement in space as well. And we respectfully ask that the board approve that as well.
I'm not exactly sure where that is in this packet.
Yeah, I don't see it.
It's on the back.
Yeah, it's on the back. If Ms. O'Neill will read that second set of articles. of
Mr.
agreement.
O'Neill.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Resolution 2326 is a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of Clayton County approving the expenditures of stimulus funds awarded to the county under the American Rescue Plan Act, to authorize the Chief Financial Officer to amend the budget where necessary, and to authorize the Chairman for all acts necessary to accomplish the extended resolution, to provide an effective date of this resolution and for other purposes. Specifically, it is for the education systems management, and this is this resolution authorizes a modification or an amendment to the existing agreement with them to provide for what the COO stated previously.
All right, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Any questions? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Is that it, Mr. CO?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Good.
I'm good.
Deer in the headlight. Okay, all right. Motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chair,
Uh,
Mr. Chair,
I'm
public
sorry.
comment? Public
Oh,
comment?
there's nobody signed up for public comment. Thank you for checking on that. It was up front. Motion to adjourn out of the special call meeting.
So moved.
Is there a second? I'll second the motion. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.